I will go over a few rules for the session. So we kindly request to keep your microphones muted throughout the presentation to eliminate any background noise. You can also turn off or turn on your cameras. This is up to you. We expect especially turning off the video will make the session a bit easier and smoother. As I said earlier, we will share the session, the recorded session with you in a link after the presentation. Active engagement is encouraged. The idea of these monthly sessions organized by the British Council and VELTA is to have as much interactive presentations and interactive questions from you as agents and counselors. You may post questions and contribute to the session using the chat feature anytime during the session. Following Marcela's presentation, we will also have a formal Q&A session. You may also raise your virtual hand to post questions directly in the session. You may type your queries into the chat, and we will also facilitate how these are addressed by Marcela. I will also be sharing with you an attendance link, which it would be really appreciated if you take some time to fill it in. This is just for information to us to see how many people attended the session. And without any further delay, I would like to introduce the guest that we have for us today. So we have Marcela Rodriguez Vega, a Colombian national who is currently based at the British Embassy in Bogota. Marcela has served as the deputy head for the UKVI for Latin America over the past 4 years, accumulating a remarkable 12 years of experience in the realm of UK visas and immigration. So without any further delay, I pass on the microphone to Marcela. Marcela, thank you very much for this invitation and accepting it.
Thank you, Lizzie. Thank you, everyone. Can you please tell me that you're listening to me correctly, that I'm not having any sort of delays or maybe shorts of the communications, because I don't know what's going on today, but my internet here at the office has not been great, but hopefully during the whole session, I will be able to have a clear communication among you guys. So thank you very much, Lizzie, for presenting me. I'm very pleased to have this meeting with you guys. As Lizzie has mentioned to you, I have a 12-year experience with UKVI, so hopefully I'll be able to answer all of your questions. So please bear with me, and hopefully all this session is very productive for you. So just as a matter of an overview, I will be able to give you some information about UKVI. I will be able to show you a little bit more about the processes for applying for a student visa. And also, I wish to engage more with you to have like an idea exactly what is your experience in handling UK students. So let's begin. Thank you all. Thank you all for joining. So I'll be sharing my screen. I will turn off my camera because I will be looking at my main screen that is right in my right side, but I'll be able to see your faces afterwards. Okay, so let me know that you are able to see the presentation.
We can, Marcela.
Great,
Yes, we
excellent.
can.
Thank you, great. So let's begin. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to show you, as I mentioned, I'm going to show you some information about applying for UK student visas, okay? So let's begin. Okay, so first of all, I just wanted to let you know that UK Visas and Immigration, in short, UKVI, it's always open for all students to come and take advantage of the studies opportunities that they have in the UK. So hopefully I will be able to give you all the tools, all the resources, so that you can promote the UK as a destination, and that you will be able to have all the information in hand so that you are able to guide the students in order to do such, to pursue the studies in the UK. So first of all, our purpose is to provide an effective regular immigration system in the UK. So I don't know if you have been able to do the student process. I believe you have. But normally the student visa applications are like more or less like what I can say is black and white. If you provide all supporting documents as stated by immigration policy, your visa will be granted. It's not like a raffle. It's not like, yeah, this is you have the profile, but I'm not going to give you the visa. That's not the case. People must comply with what immigration policy says. And if they do, you're just free to go to the UK and study there. Uh, so that's the purpose of UK. That's the purpose, that all students are capable, or students that are capable to study in the UK have the doors open to study in the UK. Our vision is that we place our customers' needs at the center of what we do, being adaptive, responsible, and respectful at all times. So I will be able to give you a little bit more information throughout the presentation about what are the services that we offer here in Latin America, and what do we do in order to reach as many amount of students in the region. What we do, we issue visas to enable customers to visit, work, study, or join family in the UK. We have over 250 visa application centers around the world, and we also offer priority services in nearly 190 cities. Something that is worth to mention is that UKVI is looking into the future and looking at the possibility to improve the customer services among the students, among the visa applicants. So just to make you aware, we're going to implement some new services in the upcoming years. One of them is the ETA, that's related to all the visa applicants that will be able that do not require a visa to visit the UK. They will be able to travel to the UK and fill in an immigration form beforehand, so that they will be able to go more smoothly in the immigration process at port in the UK. And also, we're looking forward to do some e-visas. What does this mean? This will mean that the physical visa will no longer be needed in order to get into the UK. This will help so much customers that they apply with a very limited amount of time. It will definitely help them to get to get the visa and get to the UK as soon as possible. This will be the case of the students, and this is something that will be implemented. It is just a matter of a testing right now, but the idea is that we will be able to give you more updates about this in the near future. But just to make you aware, these are things that are making to improve the customer journey, the visa application process with UKVI more smoothly, and that we are able to help all customers in every situation that they may face. Just to make you aware, I don't know if you're familiar, I believe you are. We work along with a commercial partner called BFS. They are the ones that handles all operational processes here in Latin America. They are the ones that are based in your home countries, and they receive all visa applications. So we have visa applications from BFS, visa application centers from BFS in Brazil, in Mexico, in Chile, in Bolivia. And if for some reason, for instance, in Paraguay and Uruguay, that we don't have a BFS office, there are some other options for them in order to travel to near locations in order to offer the service. But this is something that we're improving. If there is a demand, if there is a high demand of customers in certain locations where you know that there is no BFS office, we are able to consider the possibility to open an operations there with BFS. So just to make you aware, BFS, they do not have updates of these applications. The only thing that they do is to receive the applications, take biometrics of the customers, and keep the passports safe in their office. All the information is processed directly in the UK by qualified entry clearance officers. So they do not, if students or customers wants to have updates about their visa applications, BFS is not the route that they should take. I will give you the resources throughout the presentation. Okay, so let's talk about stats. So along 2023, from June 2022 to all the way through June 2023, we have assessed 500,000 applications from students. This is a very significant number that we are aiming to increment with your help. And also, the idea is that to let you know, the UK is open for students to come and visit. So, and study and pursue their studies there. So just to make you aware, this is something very important for us. And hopefully we're able to increase this number in the upcoming years. So what about Study UK 2023? So regarding our service standards, the study casework have remained within the standard application route. This is something that we are aiming to improve along the years, because since the pandemic hit, we had our operations got affected really badly. We had such a significant delays in the visa application processes. So we're very, very proud that this year we were able to comply with the service level agreements. This is SLA that is 15 working days. You may have some cases that there were some additional delays, but it's because the entry clearance officers were requiring additional checks, were requiring additional documentations, because it means that the student did not comply with what immigration policy says. So all applications that were, what we can say, is straightforward, it means that they were assessed before the 15 working days. And this is something that we're really very proud, because back in 2022, 2021, 2020, it was really hard for our team. So fortunately, right now we can say we're like in the same levels that we were before 2020. Also, something that the UKVI is working along is that we're getting prepared for the summer peaks. So it means that for visit peaks, for student peaks, we are recruiting a big amount of qualified entry clearance officers so that they can cope with the high demand. I will explain to you a little bit how it works around the world, but the idea is that we understand what were the issues that we had back in 2022, back in 2021, in previous years that we failed to comply with the agreed standard level services. The idea is that now we learn from these mistakes, and we're able to provide a better service among the years. This year, fortunately we had a very good year, but of course there are things that we can improve on, and this is where we want your feedback. And the idea is that in 2024, things will be much, much better than this one. Also, UK is engaging along with the institutions that have been directly impacted by student claiming asylum shortly after arriving to the UK. So this is something that we're really looking forward. The idea is that the students, very high quality, qualified students, have their doors open in the UK. But if they wish to stay, let's do it with the standard routes. So the idea is that you help us with guiding the students. Okay, if you want to stay in the UK, there are some routes that you should follow, and do not claim asylum, because this will affect the figures, this will affect their circumstances, and if they fail to have their asylum process positively, it means that they will get deported, and they will have problems in the future to travel back again in the UK. So the idea is that every single person that is traveling to UK, every single student, is because they really want to improve their knowledge, improve their background, their professional background, in order to have more opportunities, work opportunities in the future. Yeah, we provide that, but the idea is that if they want to stay, they stay legally in the UK and not stay illegally. So this is something that we really want you to help us with. Also, we have we had a wider visa routes. So this means that we are aiming to improve the different routes of student visas, of different visas that we have, so that customers know exactly what they need to do and how they have to apply for this. Okay, so applying in Latin America. So this is something that I was mentioning to you before about BFS. So right now we have 21 BFS locations in Latin America. We have 2 new locations in San Salvador and Tegucigalpa. We are opening new possibilities for customers to apply in country. So for instance, in Argentina, we have Buenos Aires. In Bolivia, we have La Paz. In Brazil, we have Brasilia, Porto Alegre, Recife, Rio de Janeiro, and Sao Paulo. We know that the demand for Brazil is very big, so that's why we're opening this big amount of locations there. In Chile, we have the possibility in Santiago. Well, you can read a little bit more in details and you can focus in your main location. So if you consider, as I mentioned before, if you consider that there are some other locations that it would be worth mentioning, please let us know. It will be good to have this feedback because, well, we have these numbers based on the amount of applicants that apply. But of course, because applicants travel to these locations, we don't have for certainty exactly which other locations may have really big demand. So if you're able to tell us, yeah, maybe in Brazil we have another location, or maybe in Colombia we can open another location, or in Mexico, well, it will be good to know. So just to mention, BFS have two different type of services, may I say. So we have visa application centers that are called VACs. These are opened Monday through Friday. And we have temporary enrollment locations that are called TELs. So that's why in the right side of the column, I mentioned which are TELs and which are VACs. This means that the locations that are mentioned as TELs, these are only certain days in a month. So it would be good to know exactly if this works for you and basically the demand is good for you. For those that wants to apply for in a temporary enrollment location, there is an additional fee that they have to pay. So, but this is something that throughout the whole process, they will be able to know exactly what they have to pay for BFS in order to get their biometrics appointment. Just to make you aware, previous years we had really difficulties with appointment availability. So right now, BFS have implemented a system on which they show that in every TEL they should have, in every VAC, they should have availability within the 5 working days, in the next 5 working days, and in the TELs in the next appointment day. So this is something that we're working on. We're really working really hard because I know that in the past we had some issues about this, but fortunately this year we found a solution, and this is something that this year is working really, really well. So just to make you a little bit of a refresher on what the UKVI process is. So Latin America, in the past, back in 2019, all applications were assessed in Bogota. We were the hub, and we assessed all Latin America processes. But after May 2019, all these visa applications processes moved to the UK. This means that the entry clearance officers in the UK are the ones who assess the visa applications here in Latin America from Latin American customers. So what does this mean? This means that they do not, that the demand is managed a little bit different because in the UK, they assessed applications from different locations. And it is, well, having said this, it will affect a little bit on how the return of the applications is. So it means that the entry clearance officers receive the applications, then it is assessed there by entry clearance officers. The passports do not travel to the UK, they stay in Latin America. Then when the visa decision is made, everything is done digitally. So when the decision is made, the New York print hub, they print the vignette, and then the vignette, the physical visa, it is sent to each location. Something that we're working on is the possibility to open a vignette printing location in Latin America, but this is something in process, but hopefully we're able to provide this service in the upcoming months. The idea is that we're able to improve the return of the decision to the customers, because normally when the vignettes are sent from New York to any location, Brazil, Bolivia, Mexico, it takes time. So the idea is that we shorten this time. The idea is that. So as soon as you apply online and you pay the immigration health surcharge, you need to book for an appointment. So this is something that is like the first step. Then something that BFS offers is to upload all documents. These documents will be viewed by the entry clearance officer in the UK. Everything is done digitally, and they will be reviewing every single document. We don't have a limit of upload of documents uploading. You can upload every single document that you consider that is relevant. So this is something good because it means that the entry clearance officer will be able to get all the resources, all the information, all the documents regarding that application. As soon as they submit the application, we will take the biometrics and the photograph. This is something that is done to every single application. It doesn't matter that you have applied beforehand. This is something that it needs to be done every single time. Then, as I mentioned, the entry clearance officer will make the decision, and if the vignette will be issued, if the vignette will be sent to be affixed in the passport. All the communications are done through the email address that the applicant submitted in the application form. So it's important that every single detail that it's written and is provided in the visa application form is accurate and that there are no typos, because it has happened. And then the passport is returned back to the applicant. So I believe you're very familiar with this process, but I just wanted to make you aware, just in case if you weren't. Something that we always want to highlight. So application tips. So check that the student immigration rules in order to check that if there are any changes. I believe you're aware that from January 2024, there are going to be a change in the student migration policy. So it's very important that before applicants apply for their visa, they check exactly what they need to provide. Because as of this change, well, things are managed differently, and the idea is that they can provide every single document, all the supporting documentation, the relevant documentation to the immigration officer, and that there will be no further delays. Just to make you aware as well, there is a new visa fee as from October 4th, 2023. The student fee is now £490. It was before 363. So yeah, there has been an increment. So it's important because this £363 was fixed for for some years. So this has now been incremented. Also, that the CAS has been issued and that all information there is correct. It's important to mention because there are some students that were refused and presented a new visa application with the used CAS. So it's important to let you know that the CAS has to be renewed in case the visa application is refused. So just to make you aware, I believe you're familiar with this, but just wanted to highlight just in case some of you aren't. Include all necessary documents. I will talk a little bit more in detail about this. Include official translations of your documents. It's important to mention about this because even though numbers are written and are read in a familiar form for all of us in Spanish, English, and Portuguese, it doesn't matter. It has to be translated. If, for instance, the bank may be able to provide or some document provider may provide this document in English, that will be sufficient. We do not need a translation of this. Include a supporting letter to explain any gaps in your studies, for example, periods of employment. So this is very important because this is something that we noticed during this year, that there were some delays because entry clearance officers needed to know more about the previous what the student was doing before applying for a visa. So if there was a gap of studies, so it'll be good to know exactly what they were doing, if they were working, on what they were working. This supporting documentation we will be able to check and we will be able to assess, to take into consideration. Disclose your full travel history, including visas that were refused. Disclose any forms of criminality, including minor offenses. Include your birth certificate and parental consent letter if you're under 18. We always mention, please take your time when applying. This is a process that takes about 2 hours to complete. So it's important that all the information provided is accurate, that the contact details are accurate, the email address is accurate, because this is the way that the entry clearance officer will be able to check with you and contact the student or you as an agent. And be sure to check regularly your emails whilst awaiting the outcome, because sometimes when the entry clearance officer requires any additional documentation, they will get in contact through the email address. And maybe there are some occasions that this email address just falls into the junk email folder. So it's important that this is checked regularly so that you don't miss any day. Okay, so documents required is the current passport or travel document. This is something that we highlight because there were some students that because of the pandemic, they didn't know that their passport expired. So they had to, they delayed the process just because they didn't have this valid passport and that the CAS reference number is accurate, that is valid, that it was not used. You also may need to provide the proof of finances. This is something very, very important to take into account because the proof of finances, it has to be as the UKVI is requesting them with the format that they are requesting. So this means that the entry clearance officer will review if the tuition and the accommodation is covered as stated, as what the fees that they are requiring. If for some reason they fail to provide this, the visa will get refused. So this is something very important. For instance, if a student provides a bank statement stating, yes, I have the specific amount that the UKVI is requiring regarding my tuition and my accommodation, and for some reason during the period of time that the UKVI is requiring me to keep these funds available, they have like I don't know, the internet, they charge you and they withdraw some money from that account. It means that that same amount was not available throughout the whole month, and this means that the visa will get refused. So this is something that the students need to be very careful in order to provide proof of finances. Also, it's very important that there are some countries in Latin America that they do not have to show the evidence of proof of finances. So it's very important that you check beforehand if the student must provide this information or not. For instance, Brazil, they don't need to provide it. Mexico, they don't need to provide it. Peru, they don't need to provide it. So this is something good in terms that they do not need to uh, provide the proof of finances. But if the entry clearance officer is not satisfied that the student qualifies for in this item in the proof of finances, it means that they will get in contact with the applicant and request it. So this is something to keep in mind. Also, the proof of your knowledge of English. I always say UKVI do not test English language to students. We do not call if the student complies with the English level. No, we rely on what the university was presenting to us and what the university accepted as level of knowledge of English. So it's important that students are aware of this and that they are not frightened that maybe we'll be calling them and asking them to prove exactly their level of English. Also, as I mentioned before, the birth certificate and parental consent, the tuberculosis test results. Is very important to mention that this tuberculosis test must be done with the official doctors certified by the UK government. So it's very important that if a student provides this tuberculosis test from a private doctor, the UKVI will not be accepting it. Please bear in mind that this is only for certain countries. It does not apply for all Latin America. In a region, I may say it applies for Peru, it applies for Panama, it applies for Bolivia, it applies for Paraguay, but it does not apply, for instance, for Colombia. It does not apply in Chile. It does not. So please bear in mind about this. And also that the ATA certificate is there, but of course, it depends on the course that you're studying. So I will be adding some QR codes along the presentation so that you will be able to get the information and the links that we're sharing with you. You'll be able to scan them with your phone. Processing time. So as I mentioned before, the idea is that we process in 15 working days. This means 3 weeks. So this is something that we complied this year. Yeah, there were some students that took a little bit longer. Maybe some took about a month or maybe a little bit longer than a month. But it's because the entry clearance officer was requiring additional documentation. Okay, so travel to the UK. So I don't know if you have been aware of the vignettes that have been handled to the in the passports of the students. So the visa, the physical vignette that will be affixed in the passport, it will be only valid for 3 months. It means that it will be granted for 3 months only, because this is the time that the student may be able to enter the UK. In the UK, they will be granting a biometrics residence permit card, which will have the full length of the clearance that the entry clearance officer granted. So it is normally up to 1 week before the course starts. Sorry, yeah, one month before the course starts, and it takes 4 months after the visa was issued. So this is important to mention, because this is I will be telling you a little bit more in detail, something that the students may do as soon as they finish the studies in the UK. So this is in terms of how to apply for a UK visa. After that, the student has the possibility, as soon as they are in the UK, to apply for a graduate visa. This graduate visa is a new opportunity that the UKVI is granting the students in order to stay a little bit longer, in order to do some, in order to search for a job, in order to continue with some additional studies. So this is something that they may be able to do. This is something very important to mention. They may only apply for this graduate visa in the UK. They cannot apply for this route outside the UK. And so this opportunity to work in the UK for 2 years. So this is an important thing to do, because this will allow the student, in order to gain some job opportunity, job experience in the UK. For those that are doing the PhD, they will be able to do it. They will be able to have 3 years. No sponsorship required. The education provider has told the Home Office you have successfully completed an eligible course. This means that the applicant may be able to apply for this graduate visa only after the university has confirmed that they have successfully completed their original studies when they travel to the UK. So this is something very important. It's not like the student can apply for this beforehand. No, they have to do it as soon as they have successfully complied with their studies. They also have to pay for a visa fee, and they have to pay for additional IHS health surcharge. So it's very important that you let them know that these are opportunities that they have in order to stay a little bit longer in the UK again and gain a little bit more experience if they wish. So these are useful links and QR codes that we want to share. So first of all, this is student visa information. So in there, you will be able to have the recent updates, all the information that you need to know about how to apply for a student visa, all the changes. This information is constantly updated. So all the information that you will see there, it's accurate. These are governmental resources, so you can really trust in them. You can also have more information regarding the graduate visa route, about the documents required. As I mentioned, regarding the funds, there are some specific documents that the UKVI accepts as evidence of funds. So it's good that you always check exactly what UKVI is asking in terms of the personal circumstances of the study of the student. And well, as I mentioned before, regarding the funds. So there are two ways about contacting UKVI. So first of all, we have the UKVI contact center. This is a contact center that manages UKVI worldwide. So they will be able to provide more information regarding UKVI, and they will be able to provide more information regarding the status of these applications, or if they want to escalate a complaint, or if they want to escalate an issue that they had, they will be able to do it through this route. Unfortunately, our UKVI LATAM office, we are not resourced to provide this support to you guys, but this is the way that how the UKVI government, how UKVI and the UK government is giving you resources in order to help you with any questions that you may have. We also have a Twitter account, well, formerly Twitter, now X. In there, we share more information about visa applications, about migration policy changes, about visa fee changes. All is shared, everything is shared there. So it's very important that you can get that you can get used to checking this X page in order to follow the recent updates regarding UKVI. So lastly, we just want your feedback regarding what have you been your experiences? Who do you represent? What are your students telling you about their experiences? Were there any challenges in navigating about our visa application process, about the student season that just passed? And how can we work along in order to increase the number of students applying in the UK, in order to promote the UK, and in order to help you promote the UK. So this is the idea. The idea is that we can work along. The idea is that you can give me your feedback so that I can, yeah, we can do more. We can do more because normally before UKVI was just a matter of like a independent organization that we were like not receiving any type of feedback, but it was because of sensitive information. But now we're opening the doors in order to receive feedback from you guys. And that's it. Thank you very much for listening and welcome to the UK. And I will be leaving this slide open so that you're able to see a little bit more of what I am looking for you. And of course, if you have any questions, just please let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marcela. So now it's time to open the floor for our Q&A session. We do have some questions in the chat that I can help you read a bit later, Marcela. But the idea is for all the participants to actively participate, whether raising your virtual hand to ask questions directly to Marcela by typing your queries in the chat. And Marcela is here to address your concerns, provide clarity in any aspects of the UK visa immigration. So let's take this chance to have any kind of questions or queries that you may have. So I see the person with the so please go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Don't be shy. Don't worry. I don't bite.
Go ahead.
Well, my question could be
I think you with a raised hand.
Do you hear me? Here?
Yes, I can hear you, but there's some background noise that
yes,
I
we
think
can
a
hear
little
you.
bit of music.
I don't have that back. I don't know who has it.
But go ahead. Don't worry. Go ahead. I can hear you now.
No, those are asking a question, but go ahead. Or still have your hands to mute yourself. Go ahead.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so my question is, are we going to receive all the links that we will need to apply for the visa and to apply for the ETA?
Yes, you're going to receive all the information, but for now, I'm only going to share with you guys the links that I mentioned beforehand. I'm not sure if you're still seeing my presentation. Let me change. I will be able to share these QR codes. That is the information that we're handling right now. As soon as the ETA, the e-visas information, it's going to take place, we are able to share with you in more detail about this. But for now, this is something just to give you a heads up of what is going to happen, on what UKVI is looking and is aiming for. But for now, these QR codes are the only ones that I will be able to share with you.
So for this coming summer, so is it going to be necessary the ATA for the students?
Right now, no. Right now, everything is going as normal. As normal with the visa, with the vignette, with the physical vignette. Everything is going to be as normal. As normal. As soon as these changes take place, we will be able to share this information. But just to give you, it was just a matter of giving you a heads up of what we're aiming for in the future.
So to travel for the summer, that is a short-term course, students won't need ETA and not any other document, right?
They will need to, if they're going to do a short-term course, they will need to verify if they have to apply for a visa, depending on their nationality and what they will be doing in the UK in order to apply for this. So it's something that you need to verify beforehand, because it depends on the nationalities. For
Okay, so
instance,
for
there's
the summer courses of 3 weeks or 2 weeks, for the
it
summer
depends.
courses of
It depends on which nationality they are, because in some cases they have to apply for a visa. In some other cases they don't have to apply for a visa.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Marcela. We have a question in the chat from Maria Luisa. Can you confirm the BFS Global Center in Uruguay?
Yes, we don't have, unfortunately, Uruguay, but in there they can travel to Buenos Aires if it's suitable for them, or in Santiago de Chile, just in case they have it's easier for them to travel. But unfortunately, in Paraguay and Uruguay, we do not have a BFS office representation. So yeah, they will, as soon as they make the application, the system will give them the option where they will be able to apply from. If they can apply in Brazil, if they want to apply in Buenos Aires, if they want to apply in Bolivia, it depends on the location that they is much easier for them to travel to. But unfortunately, the demand in Uruguay and Paraguay is quite low, so BFS is not able to open offices there.
Thank you very much. Manuel, you have your hand up. Manuel Luna, please go ahead with your question.
Thank you. Hi, Marcela. Okay,
Hi.
so my question is very specific and it's the same as one of our colleagues, Rosana Valerio, asked, and it's about the graduate route. So what happened when the student completed their mainstream studies, their master's degree? Can they add the, dependence on their visa, and what would be entitled them to do, afterwards?
Well, unfortunately, right now, the migration policy is changing. So right now, dependents are not allowed, will not be allowed as from January 2024 to accompany student visas to do a master's. This is something that we will be sharing in more detail as soon as policy will change. But the graduate route, it's only for the applicant. For now, it's not to bring dependents.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you, Marcela. Another question from some people. Is it necessary to translate bank statements?
Yeah, it is necessary because this is a requirement for certain type of visas that they required official translations. In this case, student visas required official translations, as well as settlement applications, as well as work visas. There are different type of visas that they require certified official translations. So yeah, if, for instance, the bank provides the bank statement in English, we accept that. It's something that is valid for us, and this is something that UKVI will be accepting. But yeah, in short, yeah, the bank statements, if they are in your native language, they have to be translated.
Thank you. Fabiana, go ahead.
Hi, you're on mute, Fabiana.
Hi, thank you very
Okay, now
much.
you. Sure.
First of all, I would like to ask why the TELs in Brazil, they charge so much money to have the student there.
Yeah, it's because BFS is offering a service for students in different places that are not the cities that have Monday through Friday services. So that's why, in order to comply, to have a center there in that city, they have this specific fee for them, and that's what they are charging. And because this is a BFS service, so that's why that's the user pay fee that they have to pay. It's a mandatory fee. For instance, if a student is easier to travel from other location to Rio or to Sao Paulo, they may be able to do so. And in those two locations, they do not have to pay for that user pay fee. But in those locations, for example, in Recife, in Brasilia, in Porto Alegre, they they do have to pay for that because those are outstanding cities but BFS is offering the services for the students.
Right. My other question is that it happens a lot in Brazil that a stepfather that is not legally a stepfather from the kid lives with the mother and he is responsible for the finance.
Yeah.
We cannot consider him as a financially responsible for the visa process.
No, you can't. It must be with biological parents, but in case there's some legal documentation that may consider him as a economically dependent, that the student is dependent economically from him, but it's something that is worth considering from the rules because those are really specific cases that needs to be managed more in detail. So it would be worth checking because if we understand that some of the parents that are not the biological parents are the ones who are able to support economically the students, well, it would be worth noting exactly how the student may be able to provide the evidence, the economic the funds to the UKVI in order to provide the evidence of the funds.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you, Marcela. Another question from Rosana Valerio. When applying to the graduate route in the UK and gets approved, can there be dependence on this application?
Oh, sorry, Lisney. I think I cut you off a little bit. I couldn't hear the complete question. Could you please repeat it to me?
No problem. The graduate route in the UK, and if it gets approved, can this include dependents?
No, unfortunately, no. It's only for main applicant. It's for only the main applicant who is qualified for the graduate route.
Thank you. Leonardo, go ahead.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you very much, Marcela, for your time and presentation. It's Leonardo here talking from Brazil, from Grade Up. We are very specialized and represent several top British universities, so we are used to deal with this kind of visa. Two questions. The first one, I know is a government policy, but as we need to give you some feedback, and we have here representatives from all LATAM, I think it's very important for you to take the message back to UKVI and back to your government, saying that I'm very unhappy about these new policies to avoid taking dependents with serious students to the UK. We do send several top Brazilian students to several British universities to take master's degree, especially, and not having the opportunity to take their husband or kids is very strange. I haven't, I do not agree. And in this part of the world, we do have very intelligent, genuine students. If there is part of the world that boos about this rule, I think you guys need to take or develop policies for certain countries, that will damage a number of students, especially mothers, who will take master's degree to come back to Brazil. And that's a very strange policy, to be honest. So that's a feedback to you. And obviously, I know that you could feedback some of your peers in the UK. The second one, asking for a bit of help, and especially as Fabiana has mentioned about stepfather, we do have some cases where it also happens. And as you have said, you need to be careful and, go to, manage the details about it. Do you have a list of lawyers that could help us in these delicate cases? Because obviously sometimes it's very difficult, to deal.
Yeah, thank you very much, Leonardo. It's believe me that even for us, it was a surprise about this new change of policy. I understand that UK has the reasons to make these changes. However, it's important to mention that even though this will be in place, the new student migration policy, it always gets reviewed. So this is something that may be lifted in the upcoming future, but for now, this is the way how UKVI wants to accept the students. We understand that of course, we cannot separate families. It is really a shame. The students, the dependents may be able to travel with the partners, but not stay as a dependent of the student. They will be traveling in other terms, such as visitors, that they only have some limited time to be there in the UK. These are options. It's not like you're a family, your dependent cannot come to the UK, never when you're here. No, that's not the case. But unfortunately, through like being a student dependent, unfortunately, that will no longer be the case. But as I mentioned before, it is always constantly reviewed, and this if they see a significant impact in the amount of applicants applying in the UK, or applicants complaining about they're unable to bring their dependents, these visa policies are reviewed constantly. So this is something that hopefully in some near future, they will be able to review it and be able to provide the possibility for dependents to travel again with their main applicant. But for now, this is something what the government has put in place. They have their reasons. They have some migration policy in place. So that's why they implemented it. But I understand, Leonardo, your frustration. In regard, and of course, I will be passing this to my government, because this is basically the whole purpose of why we're talking openly, and that why we want you guys to be honest with us, because it's important that you all also feedback to us exactly what you think about what's going on with UKVI. On the other hand, regarding your second question, yes, we have some certified immigration policy advisors, so they will be able to guide you. This is something that you can find in the gov.uk website. I will be able to share later this link, so they will be able to provide more information exactly what they can do regarding these specific cases and the specific circumstances with the students that maybe their situation falls a little bit outside the rules, and how they may be able to comply with these rules.
Okay, thank you very much, Marcela.
No worries.
Sure. We have another question from Astrid. Could you please say again which countries do not have to upload financial proof?
Well, I'm going to give you just a little bit some examples, but you will need to search exactly if your country falls into it. So I mentioned Argentina, I mentioned Mexico, I mentioned Chile, I mentioned Brazil, I mentioned Peru. But if you live in another country, if you represent students from other countries, you will need to look. This is called, this is Appendix H. Sorry, I forgot exactly the name of that exact rule, but I will be able to share it with you guys so that you can have it in hand and check, depending on the nationalities, which are the ones who must provide evidence of funds, and who doesn't.
Thank you, Marcela. Jose from across the pond. This year, some student got a problem with the payment of the IHS, as it appeared as zero. Okay. Is there any email they could contact to correct it?
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very interesting because I was aware of this. This is something that we're improving because we don't know. This is something that has been in place for a very long time. I think it was from 2015. So it's really strange that this year precisely we had some issues with the IHS payments. In this case, please contact UKVI Contact Center. They will be able to guide you, and the entry clearance officer will be able to resend the link and in order to make the payment. Because the students don't pay this fee, it doesn't mean that the visa will get refused, but it will get delayed. And this is something that we want to avoid. But we're aware of this issue, so we're making sure that next year we don't have this problem with the students, because we don't want to delay their visa decision.
Thank you, Marcela. For Mireia, is there any news regarding the priority visa in Brazil?
Yeah, right now, unfortunately, as I mentioned, because visas are printed in New York, and it takes time to get delivered to their home country locations, we're only able to offer the priority services in Peru, in Mexico, and in Colombia because of the timeframes. Right now, Brazil, unfortunately, is not in a radar, but as I mentioned in some part of my presentation, we're aiming to have the visa printing in LATAM, and that will definitely change how all the services that we may be able to reinstate. Because we were offering before the pandemic, we were offering the priority service, but because after the pandemic, our operations changed a bit, it affected the priority services in some of these locations. So unfortunately, in Brazil, for now, we're not able to provide it, but we're aiming to provide it in the near future.
Thank you, Marcela. Before giving the word to Fabiana, sorry, Fabiana, because it's also linked to visas, I think it's related to the last question. Are there any plans of increasing availability of appointments in Santiago de Chile in the future? And also, there used to be priority premium services a few years ago in Mexico. Any plans to offer those again?
In regards with the appointments, every time that the slots are taking, the standard slots, number of slots are taken in each location, BFS is obliged to open more slots. So there shouldn't be any problems to have appointments in the next tail date. That is in the case of Chile, and in the next working day, that is in the next 5 working days, that is in the case of the PACs. So let me know if you had any issues to have an appointment, to find any appointments in Santiago, because basically the idea is that if an applicant applies today, they will be able to get an visa appointments in the next appointment date. So yeah, it's important that you let us know, please. And in regards with the premium services in Mexico, well, right now we're going step by step, because we're able to provide more services right now. But for now, Mexico, we're able to provide priority service, and that's what we have right now. If BFS is offering more services, you will be able to see them in their webpage, any of these premium services. But for now, it's priority service.
Thank you, Marcela. Fabiana, go ahead.
Hi, Marcela. Are you able to talk about the short-term visa too, or?
Yeah, sure. What do you want to know?
Fantastic.
Tell me a little bit more.
One thing, why we don't receive any letter for the short-term visas? Because most of the time the student asks, what is the visa length?
Oh, I understand. Is it short-term student visas for less than 6 months or more than 6 months?
More than 6 months, between 6 and 11 months.
Well, that's interesting because they should be receiving the letter. All applications that are more than 6 months, they are entitled for a BRP. And this the same case of the students that they receive a visa for 3 months, and they have to then go to a post office and get the full length, the biometric residence card. So it's really strange that they don't receive it. Let me feed back to the team, because this email is sent automatically by the system as soon as the visa is issued. So maybe there's some issues with our system, that maybe this email is not being sent as what is promised. So I'll be feeding back.
Okay,
thank you very much, Fabiana. Good to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcela. From Rosanna, what if they apply to the skilled worker route? Can they include I'm guessing.
Sorry, I couldn't hear anything. Sorry, could you please repeat?
Sorry, there is, yeah. What if they apply to the skilled worker route? Can they include dependents?
Well, yeah, the only ones that have changed are student visas. In regards with the rest of the applications that they may bring dependents, it doesn't affect them. It only affects students.
Thank you, Marcela. Sorry, someone, Marwa, go ahead.
Oh, yes. Hello. Hi. I work with Leonardo also at Grade Up. And something that we are always struggling sometimes is the English requirements, because I know that you don't approve so many English test options. But is there any plan to approve more English tests to meet English requirements, or to approve most test center to have the students? Because for example, the IELTS, we have only in 3 states in Brazil, and Brazil is big. So sometimes it's hard for the students, you know, to take the IELTS for the KVI, and you also have the PTE, but the PTE is only in São Paulo branch, which is also hard for students who live in the north or northeast of Brazil, for example.
Yeah, well, this is something very interesting because there should be enough locations in region that are certified to provide these English centers and the English tests. This is something that we must be very careful because there were some centers that were providing forged English tests results. So this is something that the government is looking that all the ones that are qualified to receive students to present their student English, well, their English language, to do their English language test, they comply with the regulations of the UK government. So I'll be sending as well another link that will be very useful for you so that you can see exactly which locations are agreed by the UK government and that they can, where students may be able to take the tests. So it will be useful to know which other locations in Brazil that maybe you are not aware of that are available.
But when you are talking about this new location, you mean that for them, because IELTS, they are like only certified to, you know, provide the IELTS for UKVI in Brasilia, São Paulo, and Rio. But and is officially in their website. But do you mean that maybe IELTS can offer different locations that are not on their website and we are not aware?
Yeah. Also, there are some other tests that are valid for UKVI to present. It's not only IELTS, which would be worth looking at. It depends also as well in the university if they are accepting these other tests. But yeah, there are different tests that UKVI accepts as English requirement, and there are some other locations, other centers that offer other tests, not only IELTS, to present as evidence of English.
Yeah, because so far as I know, it's only PTE, IELTS, and I know that Trinity offers something, but if you have extra additional tests that we can maybe do in Brazil would be nice, because really we are not aware.
Okay, let me look and I will be able to share them.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Marcela.
Sure.
From Stephanie, in case the UKVI requires the proof of funds from one of the countries that they usually don't request it, is it necessary for the funds to have been 28 days in the account of the person?
Yeah, something that I mentioned during my presentation is that even though you're in your country, they don't, because of the nationality, they don't require to present the evidence of funds. If the entry clearance officer requires it, they must be provided and complying with what UKVI is requiring. That is the 28 days study in the bank account. So yes, they do.
Thank you. There is another question from Tatiana about visa-free entry for Latin America. The maximum stay is 6 months. If a person stays 6 months in the British territory, after how long can he or she return to the UK?
6 months later. They only can stay 6 months throughout a period, 6 months in a whole year. Yeah, so if you're entering today, you have a full year to enter to the UK, but only up to 6 months. So as soon as the 6 months have passed, they will be able to get in again in the UK. Of course, if they want to stay for 6 more months, at port, it will be questioned. It will be questioned, why did you stay 6 months and why are you staying 6 months again in the UK? So it's something that they need to be careful with.
Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you very much, Marcela. Mark,
Sure.
I have a question.
Would you like to open your microphone and say it? Oh, go ahead.
I have a question. Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I'm from Colombia, and I have a student that traveled for the 6 months without the visa. Now he wants to study cooking or chef, to be a chef in London, and he needs to get a new visa to enter the academy in London. How does it go? Besides, he's studying in Bristol English, and in Bristol they told him that he has to take at least 4 additional months to get the IELTS test to enter Cordon Bleu Academy in London. So how can he get the extension of the visa for the language and then the visa for the Cordon Bleu institution?
If I understand correctly, he traveled without a visa. He's right now without a visa in the UK, right?
Yes, for 6 months.
Yeah, unfortunately, he must return to Colombia. He cannot apply for an extension in the UK. He cannot apply for a student visa in the UK. He must do the process outside the UK because the visa permit, what the students must do in the UK for 6 months, he may be able to study. That's correct. That's something that he can do, but he cannot apply for a different visa, being in the UK, because that's not allowed according to the migration policy.
Thank you, Marcela.
But I don't understand. I don't understand. If he stays in UK, he can enter the Cordon Bleu Academy without extending the visa, or how does it go? I didn't understand.
No, because he's going to study in the UK. He must apply for a student visa, and he must do that outside the UK. He cannot apply for a student visa inside the UK. He cannot, with the clearance that he has right now.
Okay, but can he stay the 4 additional months for the language and then return to Colombia and apply for the visa to go to study at Cordon Bleu?
If the 4 additional months do not surpass the 6 months, the 6 months that he has the permission to stay in the UK, he doesn't have any problems, but he must return to Colombia in order to apply for the student visa.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcela. We have another question about if you have any clue about the IHS searchers, if it will be increasing this year.
Right now, I don't have any news about the increment on IHS fees. I only have information about the visa fees, but of course, we will be keeping you updated if there is also an increment on IHS fees. But for now, that's not in the changes that got in place on the 4th of October.
Thank you, Marcela. And finally, Mark, I don't know if you would like to open your microphone and say your comment, or you would like me to read it. It's an interesting point, Mark. No, I think it's not. Well, it's just probably telling you about the rising cost of applications, and the health searchers are a challenge and obstacle. So anything you can do to maintain the cost as accessible as possible will help. Of course, anything that can be done to lobby with the government not to include students in the net immigration statistics would be most welcome. That was the comment from Mark. So I don't have any more questions in the chat. So I want to really thank you, Marcela, for the presentation, for your time. I want to also thank you, the agents and counselors that attended. We will be sharing the information. Oh, there is one more question. Go ahead. If there is one more question, please raise your hand. Flavio, go ahead. about the ETA. What about the ETA, Flavio? I think she answered the ETA for Brazil, that I think, Marcela, maybe if you can just expand a little bit about ETA requirements for 2024.
Right now, all visa processes are the same as are handled right now. ETA are not in place right now for Latin America. This is something that UKVI is looking forward to do. But for now, Latin America is not part of the pilot. It will start in Asia Pacific. So for now, ETA, let's not think about ETAs right now. ETA is something that UKVI is looking forward to do, but will not be in place right now. So as soon as the ETA gets in place, we will be sharing this information with you guys and letting you know exactly what is the process, what they need to do, which countries they must apply to, everything you need to know about this. But for now, everything is done. All the processes, all the visa processes are the same as we're handling as we're handling it right now.
Thank you, Marcela. Well, thank you very
Sure.
much, Marcela, for your time and for your expertise.
you.
So thank you for accepting the invitation. For the people that were
Thank you.
present, we would like to extend the invitation. So these are monthly sessions that we will be organizing at British Council Americas. So you will be receiving, the next session will be with UCAS and admission processes. So thank you very much, Marcela, and thank you, everybody. Have an excellent day, and we'll see you in a month's time.
Thank you very much all, and
Okay.
I really hope that the information was useful for you guys. And of course, feedback is very, very welcome. And thank you very much all for the ones who ask questions and making notes. So thank you all very much. Thank you.